I want to share a very strange story today, but I'm sure you will have your own version of this. I firstly want to say I am totally fine and healed from this situation. And if anything, it has made me a better human, a better person, a better business owner, a better parent, a better friend, a better partner, a better person in your community. Because I tell you what, this really stung when I was a kid. And I realise, I watch my own children now, and that those first times where you get that spikiness, or somebody's mean to you, or you see the truth of who somebody is, oh my gosh, it's hard for them, and it's also hard for you as their parent to hold that space and also know that it's part of life and all the rest of it. So what was the situation? When I was about 9, I did a show, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to out the person, but I wonder if they know who they are. Let's see. And there was a trend, there was a theme that at the end of every show, you would have your own little notebook, and we would all write messages into each other. And, you were great. I really enjoyed this, and this. I love you. Or the funny thing that happened in the dressing room. And it was just really cute, fun, uplifting, closing the chapter, something to look back on. And I remember leaving mine out. And I felt safe to do that because we were in a little dressing room and I knew all the people in there and they were all my sort of age group. And one of the older girls must have come into the dressing room, because when I came back in and I looked at the book, firstly, this girl had swirly writing, proper joined up writing. So I was like, oh my gosh, who's writing this? And that thing when you were about 9, older girls are such a thing of oh my God, one day I'll be like that. And so I felt my first instinct was, oh my gosh, somebody's written in my book. Who is it? And this message said, darling, one day you will be as good as me. And even just saying that, I'm just I feel for that, 8 or 9-year-old or whatever I was. And I read it and I just felt, on one hand, you could go, maybe she sees potential in me. But it was just a really odd comment. And also completely forgivable. Maybe that's just who she was as a teenager, just trying on different personas. But it felt not very nice. And I hope she doesn't do that. And I have seen her on social media making some interesting moves, but that's another thing for another story. But here's what I learned from it. Here's what I took away from it. Number 1, I made it about the other person, not about me. Because for me, I never asked her to sign in. I never asked for feedback. I never asked for a progression report from her of what she thought of me. I was just over here doing my own thing. And I'm relating this to business because sometimes people give you that feedback and you're thinking, oh, I didn't even know you were watching, or I didn't even know you had an opinion and I'm not really sure. And so making it about the other person and asking, why are you doing that? What are you gaining from that? Why did you feel the need to do that? Is often really enlightening. And to give a bit of context, and I don't know the answer to any of this, but I was always somebody that was a bit of an underdog. And underdogs are sometimes, and again, this will go on to how I operate in these things. Underdogs are a bit of a threat to really confident, out there, popular girls. Because they're I don't know what you're going to do next. I don't know. You haven't laid all your cards on the table. So sometimes there's an overcompensation there. And it's true. I was an underdog and I did go on and do great things that I'm sure she would have liked to have done as well. And I'm sure she's done her own version of that. This isn't a comparison thing. But it's interesting when you break down the dynamics of that. Number 2, it really gave me full permission to do business my way. And even though I have entered into, especially more, I'm talking acting, you know, sometimes people talk about show business as like bitchy and competitive and mean and backstabbing. I have never paid attention to any of that. On my course at drama school, there were 16 girls and 16 boys, and 7 of us, 25 years later, are still as close as can be. We went away for a weekend at the beginning of the year, and I know with any of those girls, even if I didn't see them for the next 5 years, which I hope would not be the case, I could say, can you come and get me? Or can I stay at your house? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Or could you transfer me 100 quid and I'll give it back to you next? Like, I know that is all a given with those people. I've never bought into that sense that there's only a finite amount of stuff. Because potentially in 16 girls, there could be that spikiness. But there wasn't, because we never made the decision to operate in that way. And so you can add that in to everything that you do, your ethos, your ethics, who you are, what you do, your sales page, your emails, how you conduct yourself, how you are open and expansive and share your network and help people out and say, I'll buy the coffee today, or you should meet this person, how have you never met? Doing all of that. I've always made that decision. I've never made that decision to go, right, you're a threat, no. It's so much energy as well. Yeah. Anyway, number 3. Weird spiky feedback can be really spiky and burn and sting at the time. And this could be somebody just saying something offhand in a pub on Boxing Day. Somebody you went to school with, and then you're suddenly like, oh, maybe that's true. Or maybe you think that somebody, because you follow them online, is really lovely, and then you meet them in person and actually they're not who they say they are. And there's all sorts of things that have happened in 25 years. Of course there is. But I always use those stingy moments, those spiky moments, to reconnect with myself. And I am a Scorpio, and I would like to think most of the time those lovely qualities of a Scorpio are being passionate and determined and loyal and loving and enthusiastic. But I also have to admit that I do have a bit of a spike in my tail sometimes, and it doesn't come out, and often it's an internal thing with myself. It's I'll show you, watch me. And I can feel myself like, getting fired up. I use it to drive me forward. And what you mustn't do is just stay in that spikiness and just keep looking at it and looking at it and looking at it. Use it for good. Know that you would probably never give feedback on somebody's business. You wouldn't overstep the mark. So how can you do things differently on your terms? Number 4, I want you to use the feelings to move you forward. I'm really glad that age 8 or 9, I had that realization that people might do that. And at first you can't see that because you're so in the emotion, you're so in the, oh, that really hurt. And like, I remember coming out, my mum looking, and my mum was like, who is this girl? Why's she doing that? That's not very nice. And I've seen it with my own children, that first time where something happens. My son had it with somebody, and he thought that they were all about one particular thing. And then, it was a situation. And the fact that they weren't who he thought they were was the bit that really stung. And yet, I tried to have that positive spin with him of, well, now you know, so you can move forward and you're more equipped for next time. So that spiky moment at 8 or 9 was like, okay, so there might be people out there like that. Okay, so maybe I don't leave that notebook lying around. Maybe I only give it to people that I feel connected with. Maybe I don't open myself up in that way. Maybe I keep things a little bit more sacred. And you learn those things as you go. Sometimes many times, because it's really difficult, because you want to be that nice person and you want to be open, but yep. Finally, we all have to trust that karma is doing its thing. And sometimes you can look at other people's lives and businesses and make all kinds of assumptions. Like, that's probably never happened to them. They probably got it all perfectly worked out. They've never felt these feelings or had difficulties or hardships. People only share what they want to share, online, in person. And maybe there are people in your life that you think, actually, I know nothing about them. Or those people who want to know everything about you, but they never share anything. And it's only until maybe later on down the line they share something and they've had a similar experience. And then you go, oh, okay, so that did take a while for that karma to move around, but it did land eventually. And so now when I look back on that nearly, 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago, nearly 40 years ago, for me, it's not about going back and go, no, I need to speak to that person and I need to really let them know how I feel. No, I'm very at peace with it. I'm easeful with it. But what I have used it for is for good. Where do I go? And one final Brucey bonus, I guess, is I know difficulty is really difficult in the moment. That's the whole thing about it. But often it will become part of your story. And whether you choose to say that or not is it is entirely up to you. Of course it is. But I tried to do something this week and I noticed I could do it very quickly because I wasn't scared of doing this thing anymore, because I'd faced other scarier things. And I love that moment where you realize how you've overcome things, how you've built that tenacity, how you've built that resilience, how you've evolved and healed as a person as well. If you are having a difficult situation, I want to send you a lot of love and strength, and you will be in my thoughts. I wonder if she'll watch this. Anyway, I've said it now. Lots of love. If you want to book a session, send me a message. Go to my website, nickyraby.com. Lots of love. Bye.